Hello, regular knife people. Welcome back for another regular knife channel show. We're calling this the official 100th subscriber episode, even though I think we're up to about 107 now. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. So we are here for the 100th subscriber show today. We're gonna do a video on some, I guess maybe, or at least what I'm calling, the advanced stonewashing techniques. Right, I'm going to be showing off a new piece of equipment I've been playing around with. It's a heated stir plate. Heating the ferric chloride up to around 120 degrees Fahrenheit will speed up the etching process quite a bit, but it'll make it a little bit more aggressive and leave more of a texture on the surface. And then we're gonna do an experiment. I haven't tried it yet to see if it's actually gonna do shit. But I've got some liquid gun blue, some cold bluing, and I thought maybe we would try, after etching the blade, we would try applying some of this gun blue to darken the etch up a little bit and maybe improve the contrast on the stone wash. Traditionally, this doesn't work very well on stainless steels, being that what it's doing is it's causing a black oxide layer to form, a black rust, essentially a layer to form. And stainless steel being what stainless steel is, it tends not to want to rust, right? But I'm hoping that once we've textured it in the acid, that the bluing will want to stick a little bit better. And I'm not asking for much. I'm not I assume it's not going to be turning this steel black, but at least maybe darken it up just a little bit. Especially on those stainless steels that are traditionally harder to get that acid etch on. We'll be doing one today on Oz 8. It's another Rat 2 blade, and that's just because it's a steel that doesn't want to etch as well, and we've already done one in the past, and so we can put those two there side by side to see if the cold bluing, it actually made any kind of difference. And before the tryhards get down there in the comments, yes, you can black nitrate, stainless, and do it fairly well. But that requires a whole different kind of setup. That's usually what we call hot bluing, and much more than outside of the scope of this video. This is yes, I'm saying this is my advanced, but this is advanced for doing it at a workbench in the corner of my living room, right? We're not setting up a hot bluing tank and heating up blue and salts and all that crap. This is a cold bluing, which is traditionally the weakest form, or the less durable form of creating that oxide layer. And again, we're just simply going to try it out just to see if we can darken that etch up just a little bit, so that we get that much more contrast when we do the stone wash. So we'll be trying that out today. And then, like I said, I'll be going over the processes here for doing a stone wash. Now, these processes can be used, they're basically the same steps you would take regardless of how you were doing this. If you were doing, like in the very beginning, I was taking and I was dunking them in the ferric chloride, getting an etch, and then I was throwing it in a Gatorade bottle with some WD-40 and some rocks out of the yard, and then just shaking it. I then moved on to sneaking it into the washing machine and letting it go through a couple of cycles in the washing machine, to going on to picking up an actual real cheap rock tumbler from the Amazon, and then and getting some of that ceramic tumbling media from Harbor Freight. I like how the tumbling aspect works out. I've just been wanting a little bit better consistency with the actual etch itself. Some of these steels can take a long time to etch, and yeah, my time is my time, right? But I don't it's more aggressive on some steels than others, and the longer you leave the steel in the etch itself, the more likely you are to start building up a film in areas on the blade. And I believe it's called smutting is the actual technical term for that. But what happens is that smutting can either cause a really dark black stain, or it can cause you not to get a very good etch, and so you get a blotchy inconsistency to the color. And what we're really trying to work on here is to get a very consistent color throughout, for the acid wash. And so we're gonna do the. I picked up a heated stir plate, and when I bring the video back, when we're all set up to go here, you'll see what it is. Basically, it's a plate that has a little spinning magnet in it that'll spin a magnetic bar inside the vessel, and then we'll be heating up that acid as well to around 120 degrees. I did a lot of searching online for like the optimal temperature, and basically the only thing I could find was not to heat it up above 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So not sure what happens at that point, because it was kind of slim on what exactly would happen if we exceeded the temperatures. But yeah, so we'll be heating it up. I'll be monitoring the temperature. We'll getting it right up to temp, and then I'll bring you back when we're all set up and ready to go, and I'll point the system out, and kind of explain what I'm doing. But again, you can do fairly passable acid and stone washes in the earlier method I outlined, right? Just dunking it in the acid and throwing it in a Gatorade bottle with some rocks from the yard, giving it a good long shake. You can get fairly decent results. It's just what I've been working on is avoiding those happy accidents, right? Because I get some stone washes that came out absolutely gorgeous, and then I got some that were just and as we shown before, when we redid the etch on my on that PM2 Tonto, you can re-etch and etch. If it's not up to your liking, dunk it again, man. Throw it back in the acid, right? Just keeping in mind that you're if you decided you didn't like it after you sharpen the knife, well, you're going to be resharpening it again. So I've kind of refined my methods over time. I'm using a paint marker now to mask off the areas that I don't want etched. I've even got a little. I'll show you here in a minute when we get to that point. But I got a little, just a little stencil essentially that I can hold over it, just so I get perfectly round little spots. When I'm painting them. And then ultimately, what we're trying to do here is, my son brought up a very good question the other day, and that was, can we mask a hamon, line into a knife, and essentially, leave a faux hamon pattern in the blade? Well, that kind of got me going down the rabbit hole of, can I do a two-tone that way? Can I mask off portions of the blade that I don't want etched, and etch those portions that I do, and then successfully get it through a stone wash without scratching up the areas that I've masked off? And so that's kind of going to be my next project, because I got a couple of blades that I'd really like to leave that factory finish on the grind, but it would like to darken and stone wash the high spots. So I'm gonna be trying a couple of different products out, things that I think may work. I'm hoping something like maybe a Flex Seal, the paintable Flex Seal might be good enough to resist the acid etch, plus stand up to the stone wash. The other thing I was thinking of is maybe some of that DIY bed liner product. Maybe that may work. I don't know. We're gonna have to experiment and in the future. I mean, we can turn a screen door into a bass boat with Flex Seal. I think it might work out for our purposes here, but we'll see. That'll be coming here in a future date. Today, like I said, I'm just going to go over my basic updated acid etching methods and how I'm getting my consistent results. Total cost on all my equipment, you'll be seeing here, minus the chemicals, is less than $100. I think I paid $44 for the tumbler. I think I paid right out $12 for the stuff. I mean, it's about maybe about 120 invested total here in equipment. But You know, it's evolved over time, so that wasn't money out of my pocket right off the bat. Chemical wise, the ferric chloride seems to be getting a little bit more expensive. I think a quart of it right now, the 2 quart bottle, I think I paid right at $24 for it, and so a couple of years back it was like $9. So the prices have been going up. Plus, I use acetone for degreasing, the final degreasing, and acetone's it's $10 a quart right now too. So you kind of want to conserve your chemicals as best you can, because that will greatly accelerate the cost. You don't want to use them one time and then dump them out, because that would make it, spreading that 130 or so dollars over 30 knives isn't that bad of a deal. Spread out over 2 knives, that would get kind of expensive. So yeah, so that's what it is. I'm going to bring you back here and just show you kind of. We'll go over some basic blade prep, and then we'll get into the equipment in the process. All right, I'll see you in a few. All right, and we're back. All right, so now we're just getting the blade prepped for the etching. So it's already been scrubbed out in the sink. I've already scrubbed it under some with some dish soap and clean water. And then the final stage is going to be the acetone dip, just to get any little bit of oils that may be present off. Because as soon as it goes in the acid, you'll know if you missed a spot. So you definitely wants to be clean, and you definitely want to have it thoroughly degreased. The only kind of tough spot to this whole deal is we can't mask the areas until after it's been acetoned. Okay, so we'll have to run it through the acetone, get it good and clean, dry it off, then we can go ahead and mask it. And because there's always the potential of getting another greasy fingerprint or a smudge on there, we're going to do these under gloves. Keep in mind that acetone will eat nitrile up, so so this is kind of a fiddly operation here, but we're gonna try to get it done and do it under camera here, just so you guys can see. I like to have a good bit of paper towels just for kind of setting the knife down and drying off. I've got obviously the blade that's going to be etched. I've got a Sharpie and a paint marker, and I'll go over those two and how I'll use them together here in just a second. And then I got the wire that I'm going to hang it on. I also do some titanium anodizing, so I have titanium wire, which doesn't seem to be affected in any way, shape, or form by any of the chemicals that we're using. So I'm just, you make 2 or 3 hangers up, and they'll last you a lifetime. So we're not talking about much here. But yes, we'll go ahead. So I like to keep my acetone in these like apothecary jars. I get them at the Hobby Lobby for just a couple of bucks. But it does a really good job of maintaining your acetone, so it doesn't just all evaporate away, and you're not losing bunches of it by transferring it from a jar into a can and back again. It does a pretty good job of sealing these up with the little silicone seal there on the top, and then it's always available, and it's easy to use. So we'll go ahead and get the lid off. Blade. And then we're just gonna give it a good swirl around in that acetone just to get the final bit of degreasing done. That's probably a very obnoxious noise, but we want to get it good and clean. All right, and then about to do it. Shake the excess off, and then right onto the paper towel to dry off. Alright. Now we can get that acetone out of the way so we can better see what we're doing. Just going to kind of blot dry the knife. There's a couple scratches in it. No big deal. Once it's gone through the stonewashing process, all of those will fade into the background there. I know on my the first one I did, I had went through a lot of effort to buff out the etching on the blade, and in the end it didn't matter anyways. You couldn't see any of the etching. The acid, It ate it all away. All right. Now, if you want to be perfect, you can get like one of these little circle, stencils here. Put it over, put it over the area that you don't want to etch, and then go ahead and draw the outline of it with the little Sharpie, and then color it in. On these little smaller knives, I find it to be just too tedious, and I just go ahead and freehand paint it in. If your little circles or whatnot that you paint on there aren't perfect, no biggie. You're not going to see them anyways. So keep in mind you've got two areas here that you want to, at a minimum that you want to mask off, or three, sorry. You want to mask off the detent track and the detent hole there. And then we also want to mask off where the pivot and the pivot bushings are going to ride there. We want those to be as close to factory finish smooth as possible. Sorry if it's looking kind of messy, because doing this under the camera here is not the easiest thing in the world. All right, and we will get those kind of painted in here so they don't look like a professional had done it, right? Now, I used to use fingernail polish for this, and then I switched over to using these paint pens. The paint pens and fingernail polish work just as well. I like this better than the paint pens, better than the fingernail polish one. It's easier to apply. Like, it's easier to get it right where you want it and nowhere else. And then it's easier to get off. Sometimes that fingernail polishes, man, you'd have to soak it in acetone for a good 10-15 minutes to get it to come off. This is generally mostly come off in the stonewashing portion. So make sure you get the inside of the pivot there. We don't want to we don't want to etch that surface up and get it really rough. We want that to be fairly masked off. Helps to do it from both sides. The other nice thing about these paint pens, these oil-based paint pens, they do dry a lot faster too than the fingernail polish. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to get the lockup face here on the back of the blade, because we want that to be as smooth as possible there. Okay, looks like we got everything that we want to get, and we'll clean this up just a little bit here. All right, and now we got to let it dry. All right, so I'll bring you back once we got the actual etching set up, and I'll bring you back to take a look at that, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to sit here and make you watch paint dry. As riveting as that would be, but we got our blade prepped, we got it degreased, we got all the areas that we don't want etched masked off, and then when we come back, we'll be going into the acid. All right, we'll see you soon. All right, and we're back. So here before you see we've got the magnetic stir plate / heated stir plate. This is the 79-1 hot plate magnetic stir that I procured on Amazon for, I think, $43. Yeah, it looks like a product of the former Soviet Union manufacturer, or maybe deepest, darkest communist China. I don't think I would use it for anything more critical than what we're using it for, but I mean, it'll stir the ferric chloride, and it does heat it up. I did order a glass lab thermometer to monitor their temperatures, and unfortunately, it has not arrived yet. But I've been using my little fried chicken thermometer, which is slowly dissolving away. So we have the stir here. It's got this little thermometer holder, which is nice and convenient because we'll actually use that to, suspend the knife into the chloride. I've got, and this is kind of the important part. This is a Pyrex or borosilicate glass beaker. And because we are directly heating it on a hot plate, it has to be a glass that is able to be heated from the bottom. You wouldn't want to say do this with a ball jar or something like that because you could risk breaking it. But this is a certified Pyrex. Technically, I guess it's like a measuring beaker or whatever. But the little spout makes it easier to pour the acid or the ferric chloride back into the jug, and it's not going to break. It's got little measuring graduations on the other side, which I don't, we don't have much of a use for this application. And then I've got just a plastic tub over here with some water and some dissolved baking soda and of course my wife's toothbrush there, and that's to neutralize the acid. And it's a little off colored because we've already I rinsed the thermometer off in there. So yeah, so we're right at around 120ish degrees on the acid. I don't have the stir bar turned on at the moment because it is obnoxious, but we will submerge the knife here, and then we'll go ahead and turn the stir bar on, and then I'll probably stop the video and bring you back and show you the end results, because this is about as interesting as watching paint dry. All right. I don't want it like a hurricane in there, but I do want it to agitate. Okay, got a good agitation going on now, I think. And let's see if we can see any etch in action as of yet. It's getting darker. But yeah, it'll probably still take a good 10 to 15 minutes before we get a good satisfactory etch on this, and so we'll let it go. All right, and I'll bring you back when we're all done here, and then we'll move on from there. All right, it's been about 12 minutes. Checking it, I think it's about as aggressive as I want to get with this one. It's got a good texture to it and a good dark color. So I think we'll go ahead and get it neutralized. So turn off the stir here, turn off the heat, and then like I said, I got my bowl of water and baking soda here to neutralize it. And so we'll get it in there real quick. This stuff stains like everything it touches, so you want to try to minimize. There you go. We get some fizz in. You want to minimize getting this stuff on anything that you don't want stained a sickly yellow color. So it is a bit darker. And we did that first rat 2 blade we did it for twice as long. It was in there for almost a good 20 minutes, I think, and this was in there for about 12. Yeah, so definitely a bit darker and a bit more texture. So definitely the acid was a bit more aggressive, and can't be sure as far as consistency and color throughout the blade. We'll have to go rinse that off. We'll go rinse it off in running water, and then I'll get it dry, and then we'll come back and we'll have it set up, and we'll try our bluing experiment. All right, so I'll see you in just a minute. All right, and we're back. So you can see, just looking at it there, you can already tell it's already a lot darker, and the coloring is a lot more consistent than the last one we did. This stir plate, these heated stir plate, it does such a good job that I feel that it's definitely well worth the extra 42 bucks, I think is what it cost me on the Amazon there. The results are amazing. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to blue it now and see if that makes it, that much darker. Again, you want to be wearing gloves. I'm going to do this over a paper plate here, and I'll have some, some paper towels and stuff standing by. You want to be careful because this stuff does have some pretty dire warnings about getting it on your skin or getting it in your eyes. I'm just curious. Like I said, I haven't done this before, so I'm not 100% sure what the results are going to be, but we're going to try it and see if we get a bit more darker coloration. And I'm not liking that. So it is darkening up some spots, but it is getting a lot. That's pretty inconsistent color-wise. So we'll swab it all down, and see, wait till the very end to make any judgment calls. But so far, I'm gonna say I'm feeling like this experiment here is gonna be a fail. But yeah, I'm not liking that. I think the color and everything was just fine prior to the bluing. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. Maybe on a much higher carbon steel or lower, something more like a 3V or a Crew Wear or a Max Met, something like that. Maybe this method would be better for. But just for like, the more corrosion resistant stainless steels like this Oz 10 or Oz 8, not so much. I'm going to go ahead and let that set for a couple of minutes, and I'm going to clean it off, and then I'll bring you back, and we will be set up for the stonewashing portion, and we'll go ahead and see how that comes out. All right, and we're back. So we got it all washed up, cleaned up, and ready to throw into the tumbler here. So the bluing was kind of a bust. That blotchiness on there, was from the bluing. So we did have a nice, good, even, consistent dark color. It does look like it darkened it up maybe slightly, but then again at the cost of the the blotchiness. So we'll see how it comes out of the tumbler. But yeah, so without, it's a lot more further experimentation before we do that bluing again. So like I said before, this is just a really cheap rock tumbler I picked up on Amazon. I think I paid 40 something bucks. I got these. These are ceramic tumbling stones. You can get a big jug of them from the Harbor Freight. I think it was 13 bucks. But they're just a ceramic stone. I know some people like that more aggressive, stonewash to it, like you would get from like actual rocks out of the yard. I like this a bit better. It's a more consistent and muted look, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. But yeah, I like using that ceramic medium. I definitely like it in the rock tumbler. We're probably going to tumble this guy as dark as it is. We'll probably tumble it a good solid 15 minutes or so. Periodically with these ceramic stones, you'll start getting a layer of like a really fine sand in there. You want to rinse that out, because if you leave that sand in there, that sand will acts as an abrasive as well. And what it'll do is it'll start lightening up the etch, and it'll actually want to start polishing the knife as opposed to giving you that stonewash look. So just every couple of times, rinse it out in the sink, get that stuff out of there, and then you're good to go. I know some people like to use WD-40. Some people use water. Some people, I just throw it in there with the rocks. If there's water in there, there's water in there. If there's not, there's not. It doesn't seem to make any kind of difference as to how the stonewash comes out. So we'll get it in there. We'll get it tumble in. I'll bring you back when it's done and dried off, and then I'll have with that other Rat 2 blade that I'd done, and then we can hold it up side by side and get a really good comparison of the two and see if we can see much of a difference. All right, I'll see you in a few. All right, and we're back. So, kind of a shame. The bluing was kind of a bust for as far as experiments go. It didn't work. I will say using the heated and agitated, you know, stir plate, I do get a much darker and more consistent color. You can see this. Here's the Project Rat 2 side by side, and you can see there's a little bit. It's a bit darker and it's a bit more. It's a bit more consistent in color. Um, a lot less blotchy with much more uniform color throughout. It's also has a bit more of a texture to it. Like it's a lot more aggressive, leaving it in there in the heated acid that's continuously agitated. Both blades after they've been rinsed off a final time, we'll rub a little light coat of Renaissance wax on them. That's just to protect them, just in case there's any residual acids or anything like that. That Renaissance wax will neutralize it and prevent it from getting rusty and stuff on you and as it sits. So yeah, I really liked how this came out. And well, that's it's now my method for doing the stonewashing. I know I did mention that I was doing this in my living room, and I do have an absolutely fantastic wife, but it was no accident I chose this weekend to do this video. She is currently out of town with a girlfriend. They went down to go see Blue October down in wherever, Tempe or Phoenix or wherever the heck they're at. So I had a wife free weekend and free run of the living room, and sworn the boy child to secrecy, so I could go ahead and do this in here at my bench. Yeah, so it came out great, and yeah, I'm excited to have you guys see it, and excited to have you guys tell me what you think, and yeah, so this is our 100th subscriber video, in which I made the one video I said I wouldn't make because it was a giant pain in the ass, and it wasn't nearly as big a pain in the ass as I originally thought. But yeah, so before I wrap this up, I'd also like to mention a good friend of mine, Pete, and had it not been for Pete, I probably wouldn't have continued on making more than just the one video, and Pete's constant encouragement and constructive criticism on my on my cinematography here has really kept me going and really kept me making these videos, and so I just wanted to mention you, Pete, and thank you, man, for all the encouragement. Next week's video, I don't know what's gonna happen. I had a knife that we were gonna do it on. Really excited to get this knife, and it's got to go back. I'm not gonna return it. I'm gonna send it back to the maker and give him a chance to correct the issues on it. But yeah, I missed out on another knife that I really wanted to pick this one up, just because I thought it had a few more interesting features and would be of a broader interest to the video. And unfortunately it didn't. It had some issues out of the gate. I did contact the maker. He did say to go ahead and send it back. I'm going to send it back to him, and hopefully we'll get some of those couple little issues corrected, and then we'll do the video on that knife. So I just have to kind of come up with something in the interim for this next coming video. Maybe we'll actually do a pattern etched blade by then. Maybe I'll go pick up some flex coat there and experiment with it and see how that comes out, and then maybe we'll have a video for that. All right. Well, hey, I really appreciate you guys coming along, and I really appreciate everybody's support and everybody that has subscribed to me. I know I kind of mentioned it in the last video, but I never thought I was going to have more than, say, just my immediate friends and family be my subscribers, but really, a lot of you guys have come and supported me and subscribed, and I appreciate it. So yeah, I wish you guys a fantastic rest of your day or a fantastic rest of your night wherever you're at. And this is the regular guy and the regular guy's knife channel, and we're signing off.